Hello and welcome to Kikao, your weekly guide on the big questions and answers on Africa's agriculture. Welcome back to Kikao. There is another question I would like to take from what Florence said. You said there have been some voices which sometimes slow down the progress. The issue of GMO in Africa has generated a lot of controversy. Why?
Now, science and I think innovations are seen to have always two sides. We call it the light and the shadows. Meaning, when something new comes, people are going to want to understand it before they can use it. And if they explained and they understand it from their own scientists or their own people, many times when they trust you, because all innovations that come new, they're always going to generate some controversy. Our people going to need to ask where and how it comes from. But what happened before the local people, the scientists or us or all of us could understand, could be able to grasp the issues, there was a strong anti-lobby group that came from Europe with a very powerful voice and began to generate fear and scare, indicating there's potential danger to the human beings and the environment. And when they brought that strong lobby, it was picked by even politicians. The negativity of it was that we need a very strong regulatory system, very costly regulatory system. And I think the worst part it was made, it had be politicized. Parliament had to pass the bills. And by making it political, it created this slowdown. I call it the slowdown of the optical technology. If you compare to what happened in America, the regulation became completely scientific. The organization, like let's say in Kenya, we have got cafes, I'm sure in Rwanda there's a regulatory body. In America, the strength of those, so it became scientifically regulated. And that slowed down. Those voices became strong enough to really make the government to fear, people to fear, and because of that, it slowed down progress. It took a while, and that's why it taken 2 decades in some of the areas to deliver. The products were there, they could have moved faster, but by the time you educate, you communicate, you go back and forth, sometimes Parliament takes 5 years, that group goes, a new one comes, start afresh to pass the regulations. Those voices cannot be ignored for what they did to slow down the uptick of the technology.
I now understand why it took so long from, for African perspective, I mean, for us to take GM product from the lab to the market. One reason could be those voices from the antis, and probably also from, if I paraphrase what you said, it was not guided by science, unlike other parts of the world. So I want, Jeremy, I know you have a very long experience in this. I want 2 things, building on what Florence has said. That difference between others and us. What are the major things? Why they were led by science and fast-tracked the adoption of GMO, while they also have parliament, and I will not say they are all educated. And what can we do to get this product quickly to the market now that we have realized that it has many benefits, and that some of the challenges have even have been compounded by the effect of climate change?
We definitely need to, let's say, consider 2 groups. Those who, you know, anything that is new, it brings fear. So you have people with high level of honesty who question this new technology simply because they didn't know what it was about. It was from scientists then to address those concerns. But you also have a second group made up with, let's say, a kind of competition between blocks. This technology came from the US. Europe was left behind. And when you consider Africa as a kind of market for mainly Europe, you can easily understand some lobbies, not based on science, but simply to protect a market. And Africans should understand that. So that's also one key reason why you can easily see those opponents to the technology in our countries. Now, what Africans should do is to listen to their own scientists. I remember when we started this program of cotton in Burkina, one farmer just told me when I made my first presentation on PowerPoint with explaining what GMO is and how we plan to definitely contribute to improving this cotton. He said, yes, now the truth is coming. Because this guy, I know his village.
We know him.
We know him.
It is the son of the soil
If he
here.
tells us lies, we can go straight to his parents. But those other people, we don't know them, you know? So we definitely need to listen to our own scientists. They will provide advice. What they need is a strong political will. A leader should have a vision for its country. This technology can contribute, yes, but we do recognize potential risk. So what they need to do is scientists go and check and come back and tell us. If we need to go for it, we go for it. If we need to go for it, but we take this kind of, let's say, precautionary approach, we take it. If we need to forget about it, then we forget and we move and we look for something else. This is definitely the political decision to be made, and some countries did that. That's why they have made progress today in the continent.
Also, our political leadership, they need to see the sons and daughters of our own countries, bringing science to them and telling them, we have worked on this and we know it works and it will solve this and that, which are problems that face our own economies, our own farmers.
Yes,
so
yes.
I think we need to do that.
You are right, but you know, we are talking about GMOs here, and this is regulated at the international level. Most of our countries are parties to the Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety. A scientist cannot start without getting an approval, you see? And this is where, at the political level, a decision should be made to develop a policy, to develop a biosafety law, to establish the authority to regulate that and provide, let's say, advice in terms of making decisions for scientists to go to the field, to go to the lab, and then come back with
and that is
recommendations.
what makes it lengthy
Absolutely.
and costly.
Absolutely.
Now, when we look at Africa, we can see that some countries are making very impressive progress, going very quickly to adoption of those regulatory frameworks which are very forward-looking and progressive, and to bring the technology to the hands of the farmers. You talked about Nigeria, you talked about South Africa. Why is it that other countries are lagging behind when they see that neighbors are already reaping the fruits of adoption of that technology? Florence, can we?
I think it's going to change, and I think what Jeremy has indicated, some of the reason for going slow was that we needed political will. This technology needed to be led by forces stronger than the scientist. The reason being, he has brought a very important point. Here we had, like literally America versus Europe, because the American led, there was a bigger fight above the institutions. And so unless the political will was there, that's what happened. And then we needed institutions with a stronger voice to go to parliament. I remember the first time I had a conversation with our deputy president now, who is heading in the political area, and I explained to him about this idea, and he actually caught it. He asked, who is fighting those highly vocal European groups? And I knew for sure they are being funded by companies that used to sell chemicals, who feel that if we now started using the maize or the cotton that's protected, they are going to lose their business. He understood it completely. This is a bigger fight than we are seeing. There's nothing wrong with the technology. The fight is bigger. Once he understood that, he was able actually to go and move things faster and tell his colleague, this fight is bigger than Santis or Helasi. There's bigger issues. We want to be kept under as Africa. We want to be left behind. We want to be cut off from a technology that's making ripples. I was helping. Another recent example I can give from Kenya is that when we had the fall armyworm, it was a serious problem. Our government sent a group of people to go to Latin America, find out, because the fall armyworm actually came with the maize import because of famine. So the problem of fall armyworm actually came with the maize. And then they understood the only way to control the fall armyworm, let's go to Latin America, where the maize came from, and find out how do they solve this problem. When they went there, they found it's actually solved by BT. They were told by the ministers, by the government. Now we have got our minister going, 2 ministers went there, the PSs. They were told the way we solve this, 70% of the solution is actually controlled by genetically engineering technology, use of BT. 30% is controlled by other ways, like making sure it doesn't break down. And that made a complete mind shift. And that's what also made things better in terms of acceptance and the acceleration we are seeing.
Acceleration of
so
the whole
political
process.
will is a must.
So we need political will. We need a critical mass of people who can adapt the technology to the condition and then lead to more acceptance of the same technology by the users. And then we need, of course, a lot of communication, awareness creation, and going to the public. But we have still the issue of the very long journey to get the regulation. So let's take a break. And when we come, we talk of those regulations.
On this episode, we discuss biotechnology, or more specifically, genetically modified organisms, better known as GMOs. Why are they so controversial in Africa? And do they hold a promise for Africa's agriculture? We'll be discussing that with our usual panel in just a short while. But first,
biotech is undoubtedly one of the most important disruptive agricultural technologies that can accelerate the pace of breeding, that can accelerate the pace of integrating genetic innovations in our cultivar development. There are excellent programs that are happening right now in Africa, but the progress in terms of government's political will and commitment to make these technologies reach the farming communities is really suboptimal. We need to bring awareness among the different levels of stakeholders, invite the policy makers or decision makers and demonstrate them at our research stations how these technologies work and what benefits they can bring in. So much more communications, intensive communications have to happen, tailored to the stakeholders at various levels, and alleviate the concerns if there are any from diverse groups within the society about these technologies and their power.